Much deserved bag for Alim McNeill, and Ross Tucker is with us today.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's happening, everybody? Matt Derry with you. It's a Wednesday edition of Locked On Lions right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Yes, today is Wednesday, October 16th, and a Thursday, October 17th. Lions at Minnesota on Sunday, 1 o'clock. Detroit at the 5-0 Vikings, 4-1 Lions without Aidan Hutchinson. This is going to be some ball game. I cannot wait for Sunday at 1 o'clock, noon Central in Minnesota. But thanks for making us your first listen and checking us out wherever you get your podcast. Please, if you haven't subscribed, do so on our Locked On Lions YouTube channel. We thank our everydayers that are out there watching and listening each and every day. Again, wherever you get your podcasts, Locked On Lions Today is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. The Pride of Princeton, CBS Sports, Westwood One, the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, and everything else. Ross Tucker is going to join us momentarily here on the program. We'll talk about the Lions' loss of Aidan Hutchinson, some of the names that have been thrown out there when it comes to trade rumors, and also we will get into Lions and Vikings as well. You can follow us on Twitter at Derry Speaks, at Locked On Lions, and also the Matt Derry Facebook fan page. Alim McNeill gets a brand new deal. People talking about how are the Lions able to sign all these guys? Let Mike Disner and the folks in the front office figure out the salary cap. All right. Because the Lions just gave Alim McNeill the fourth highest paid contract for a defensive tackle in NFL history. Only the likes of Matabike and Christian Wilkins and others are making more than now Alim McNeill's $24.25 million a year with $55 million guaranteed. How awesome is that for a third-round pick who has just come in, done his job, been a leader, and now another Brad Holmes draft pick gets drafted, gets developed, gets retained. Penei Sewell, here for the long haul. Jared Goff, I know he wasn't a draft pick of the Lions, but you know what I mean, here for the long haul. Amon-Ra St. Brown. The list goes on and on. Taylor Decker was taken care of. You love to see it. The Lions are taking care of their own and keeping good players here. And Alim McNeill is going to be even more key and important for this team without Aidan Hutchinson on the squad. As of Wednesday afternoon, as we record this in the 5 o'clock hour, the Lions have not traded for anybody big. Right? Jeremy Fowler of ESPN is reporting that, yes, the Lions have contacted the Jets about Hassan Reddick, the pass rusher who does not want to be in New York after being traded from the Eagles to the Jets. And now he and his agent, Drew Rosenhaus, are searching for a trade. I said it yesterday. I'll say it again today. Reddick is a pass rusher. He doesn't play the run very well. He's no Aidan Hutchinson, but he's a good player. And I still think the Lions have got to make some sort of move before the trade deadline on November 5th. He is an option. According to ESPN and Jeremy Fowler, the Lions have talked to the Jets. I still say this is going to take some time. There are names out there. We've mentioned Myles Garrett. We've mentioned Max Crosby, Zadarius Smith. I brought up Cam Jordan from the Saints, Azeez Ojulari. There are names out there. It's just a matter of Brad Holmes looking and seeing what takes place on Sunday. And with some of the guys currently on the roster, do they step up? Does a guy like Agude or Ukwu or somebody like that? Nobody's going to take Hutchinson's place. The Lions have to find a way from the edge to rush the passer. That is going to be massive key this Sunday because Sam Darnold is not good under pressure. He just isn't. So great news getting Alim McNeill signed. Carlton Davis a little bit banged up, didn't practice today. They've got to be, all hands got to be on deck for this game. Minnesota under Kevin O'Connell and his general manager and his defensive coordinator, Brian Flores, are off to an unbelievable start. And the thing about the Vikings is they get off to fast starts and they wallop people. They were up 28-0, 28-0 in Green Bay a couple of weeks ago. They were posterizing the Texans in the first half. That's a Houston team that has aspirations for the Super Bowl. Vikings are coming out and playing really well. Now, one big concern for Minnesota is going to be that linebacker Blake Cashman has turf toe and is likely not going to play in this game. If you've seen any film on the Vikings or watched them at all, Cashman has played tremendously. He has been very, very good. So that would be a big loss for the Vikings this Sunday. We're going to talk to Luke Braun, the host of Locked On Vikings, tomorrow and do the Thursday crossover, get Luke's thoughts on this game. I don't really have a feel yet as far as the prediction goes. The Vikings are 2.5-point favorites. We're going to talk about it with Ross Tucker coming up. But look, the Lions are off of absolutely waxing the Cowboys and playing a complete game. And their offense is clicking right now. Vikings run defense is a surprise, second best in the league. That's been the biggest shocker, is that their run defense has been really, really good. This is a team, of course, that lost guys like Danielle Hunter this offseason, but they've played very good football. And now it's a matter for the Lions to kind of match that this week, go into Minnesota. Justin Jefferson's going to be waving and flailing his arms every time he's matched up against Terrion Arnold, thinking he's being held. Jefferson sells those plays well. It's going to be a fun game this Sunday. We knew this stretch would be tough for the Lions. 4 out of 5 on the road. Nobody thought at the start of the year this one would be maybe the toughest of these games. Lions do have to go to Lambeau, which won't be easy, and at Houston, but Minnesota is playing great football right now. They're very well coached and off a bye, so they're going to be pretty well rested and ready for this game. All right, Ross Tucker coming up next. Can't wait to talk to Ross. We'll get his thoughts on this matchup coming up this weekend. We'll pay some bills and come back and talk to Ross Tucker, the former NFL offensive lineman, now an analyst on CBS and Westwood One. We'll do that next. But first, Locked On Lions is brought to you by our friends at LinkedIn Jobs. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. I live on LinkedIn. I love being there, love connecting and networking with folks, meeting people. That's where a lot of business professionals are. It's not just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. And on LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. Do yourself a favor. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. And Locked On Lions also brought to you by our friends at PrizePicks. Daily fantasy sports made easy and made fun. Here's what you got to do, and you can do it tonight with this NLCS going on. You can pick more than or less than on at least 2 player stat projections for a chance to win up to 100 times your cash. All right, run your game all season long on PrizePicks. It's not just football. Baseball tonight, like I said, you want to put some money down that Francisco Lindor is going to have more than or less than 1.5 hits. Mookie Betts, a home run. Whatever you want to do, you can do it. Thursday night football tomorrow night. Same thing. Sundays. It's a lot of fun. And PrizePicks puts its members first. So all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When your picks hit, you can get your money in as quick as 15 minutes on PrizePicks. I think Justin Jefferson will get more than 83.5 yards this week. Put that down on PrizePicks. Download the app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. Run your game. All right, as promised, ladies and gentlemen, we love this man from CBS Sports, Westwood One, Ross Tucker Football Podcast, the legendary NFL analyst and former offensive lineman Ross Tucker with us today on a Wednesday, Locked On Lions. Ross, good to see you, bud.
Good to see you as well, Matt. Definitely not legendary. Not as legendary as that win by the Lions on Sunday. That was epic in more ways than one.
So let's get this out of the way. You tweeted out I'm ready to see the Lions win a Super Bowl. 2 minutes later, you are not getting yelled at. I hope Lions fans are good to you because you are not a jinx. It happens. But 2 minutes later, Hutchinson goes down. What were you just like, oh my gosh, never again?
Couldn't believe it. I mean, I don't tweet about the Lions that much,
I
but
know.
I love them because I love their fans, and I love that their fans are having what I hope and think has a chance to be a special time in the franchise's history this year, the next few years. They finally feel like they have something, and watching them blow out the Cowboys, I just started to think, man, I would love to see the Lions win a Super Bowl. Like, that would be awesome. I'm not even a Lions fan.
I know.
Not even a little bit. Now, Dan Campbell was a former teammate, and I've known Alex Anzalone since he was 5, and I had some personal connections there. But I would love, love, love to see the Lions do that. And then for shortly after me posting that, for that to happen to Hutchinson, just awful. I mean, made me sick to my stomach in more ways than one.
Tell me this. Can they still do it without him? How big of a loss is this in your mind? And do they have to make a trade before November 5th?
I don't think they can do it without him. No. I mean, I could BS you and say, yeah, they'll figure it out and they can blitz more. And I mean, probably the best player on the team.
Right.
I mean, he's certainly the best defensive player. He might be the best defensive player in the league.
Right.
I think he was probably front runner for defensive player of the year in the entire NFL.
Yeah.
And I recognize that teams have won Super Bowls with major injuries. We've had backup quarterbacks win Super Bowls, right? Now, that said, Nick Foles played out of his mind for the Eagles, right? Like, sometimes I think backup quarterbacks can catch lightning in a bottle for a few games and be able to take a team to the Super Bowl. I don't think there's such a thing as like an edge rusher catching lightning in the bottle during the playoffs and all of a sudden turning into Aidan Hutchinson. I don't really believe that. So, and they're not going to replace him. There's nobody they can get that will give you what he gives you. What they need to try to do is try to get somebody in there that can give them enough so that they can be good enough to win the Super Bowl, which is going to be hard to do. I mean, people aren't looking to give up pass rushers. Who wants to give up, a really good pass rusher? Nobody wants to do that. But they're going to have to find somebody because it's too hard to expect them to be able to close out games in January against good teams, good quarterbacks, late in games. If you don't have a guy that the defense or the offense, I should say, feels like they need to double, need to worry about, a guy that can pretty consistently at least get pressure for you.
All right, tell me this. If you are, Hassan Reddick is out there. He doesn't want to play for the Jets. You know him well with your Philly ties. Trey Hendrickson wanted to be out of Cincinnati in the offseason. Now, the Bengals probably aren't moving him yet, but what are your thoughts on guys like that and if that's possible?
It's worth a phone call, right? Add Myles Garrett to that list, right?
Sure.
I think it's all worth a phone call. I don't know that any of those would happen. The thing that's so fascinating that obviously we didn't find out about until this week about Hassan Reddick, I would have suggested that I thought that was a pretty good fit, because they could just give him a really nice beefed up 1-year deal for the rest of the year, and then he could hit free agency. But the stipulation that the Eagles put in the trade with the Jets, that if the Jets trade him to an NFC team, it becomes a second-round pick. I never heard of that. That is genius.
Yeah, it is.
By the Eagles. I mean, genius and very, very smart. And I think probably limits, what the Jets would do with the Lions unless the Lions really sort of came in over the top, right? And gave them such a good deal that it makes up for having to give the Eagles a second instead of a third.
Are you a Hendrickson fan? Do you think Cincy would move him?
Very much a Hendrickson fan. He's very, very consistent as a pass rusher. You don't see him move around as much as Hutchinson. You don't see him ever working, over the right tackle. He's almost predominantly over that left tackle, but he's got a really good feel for it. He wants an upgraded contract. The Bengals don't seem to want to do it. I think Dan Campbell made a good point this week when he talked about patience and showing patience, because let's see this thing play out a little bit, right? We got a couple weeks before the trade deadline. Let's see, the teams that are clearly out of it. Really, if you're a Lions fan, you probably needed to root for the Giants to beat the Bengals last Sunday night, right? You want the Bengals to lose.
Yeah.
You want the Browns to lose. You want the Jets to lose. You want any team that has one of these pass rushers to lose, feel like they're out of it, and feel like it's worth it to move on from this guy to get some draft picks.
Do you think there's any way the Saints, who are swan diving, would trade 35-year-old Cam Jordan? And I know he's older, but boy, would he be a culture fit here, reunite with Campbell and Aaron Glenn from the New Orleans days. I just don't know if he's just going to retire a Saint or not.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, he's been a Saint for life, and he just got that new contract to kind of cement that he would finish his career there. I think he only wants to play this year and maybe one more. I don't know. Again, worth a call. I mean, the Saints have so many injuries, and of course they play Thursday night, but they have so many injuries that it feels like a lost season for them. Olave's out. Shaheed might be done for the year. Taysom Hill's still out. Derek Carr's still out. The Saints are another team that need to sort of, again, if you're a Lions fan, you're probably rooting for the Saints to lose. I will say this, out of all the guys we've talked about, Cam is probably the least likely to give you what Hutchinson was giving. These other guys are better pass rushers. Now, Cam is a beast against the run and can give you enough as a rusher, but he's not the consistent rusher that Hendrickson, Reddick, or Hutchinson are, or Garrett.
Ross Tucker with us, of course, CBS Sports Westwood One, Ross Tucker Football Podcast. What was that like as a former offensive lineman to watch the Lions just push the Cowboys around? And then you're running hook and ladders to right tackles up 30. I mean, that was just a punking, was it not?
It was. I mean, from my perspective as an offensive lineman, I thought it was amazing, right? Now, if I were a Cowboys fan, I would not have liked that or taken too kindly to it. And in fact, if I was a Cowboys player, that would have really bothered me. When it feels like the other team is sort of clowning you.
Yeah.
And they're already clowning you on the scoreboard. They're already beating your brains in. But then to do all these, the pass to Sewell and all that stuff, that's when I would have been a little bit salty. You got to be careful, I think, in those situations with the Lions. You don't want one of these guys taking a shot at one of your best players because they're frustrated with the way you're going about winning. But I'm not a Cowboys fan. I'm not a Cowboys player, so I thought it was hilarious and loved it.
And you get it, too, from the Lions and Ben Johnson's perspective. After last year, after getting screwed on that 2-point play to Decker, they emptied the tank, did they not, in that game? I hope they have something for Minnesota this week.
Well, they certainly at least put a lot of things on tape for other teams to have to consider and think about from an offensive line perspective next time they play against the Lions. Sometimes you want to hide and keep trick plays. Other times you want to show them and make sure you give that next couple opponents something to really think about.
Real fast before we take a quick break here, Alim McNeill gets a new 4-year deal. He's making $24.25 million, fourth highest paid D tackle now in the league. What'd you think?
Awesome. Thrilled for him. What a terrific third round choice. It's so important that you have guys like him in the middle. He helps to set up everything that Hutchinson does, right? Whether it's helping to stop the run, whether it's getting a push up the middle so the quarterback can't step up, whether it's giving you some interior rush, at times where he gets on the edge of a guard or he beats the nose. Obviously, the Lions are thrilled with what McNeill's been able to do since he's there. And this is my mindset as a former player. Any guy that gets one of these life-altering financial security contracts, I am absolutely thrilled for.
Lions will be in Minnesota on Sunday. I want to get Ross's take on the juggernaut and undefeated Vikings. We'll do that coming up next. But first, our friends at FanDuel bring us a Wednesday Locked On Lions. NFL fans, you can start the season right now with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. When you get a hunch in the middle of the game, whether it's Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night, whatever it is, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bet. So one-stop shop at FanDuel.com. Tonight, NLCS, Mets and Dodgers. Want to put some money down on the Lindor crew or Freddie Freeman and the Dodgers? You can do so at FanDuel. You get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's at FanDuel.com. Wings and Pistons starting up as well. Wings already started. Wings games can be bet on at FanDuel.com. FanDuel.com, America's #1 sportsbook. The great Ross Tucker with us. Tuck Spreads on Twitter, by the way. How's the food looking this year? You've been in so many press boxes. Give me the what's been the highlight so far?
You know what's interesting is that I've been doing more and more TV games for CBS, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times the TV booth now is not where the press box is. I don't know if you've noticed that.
Yeah, you got.
But in a lot of places, they have the TV booth like in a suite lower, and so they'll have decent food there, but it's not the same as the press box, you know. And I've noticed that in Buffalo. I noticed that when I did the Raiders game. So when I call a game on the radio, I'm still getting, you know, the real deal press box food.
Yeah.
And I've been posting that on social media at Ross Tucker NFL. But, you know, the 2 NFL games I've done TV so far, I haven't been with the rest of my media brethren to be able to get it. So I would say Buffalo, because I did a radio game up there, it was really solid. I mean, really solid. Ham and cheese sliders on pretzel bread.
Yeah.
They, of course, had wings. I'm a fan of that. So I think Buffalo, from an NFL perspective, has stood out. Now, I did 2 games in Miami. Miami typically really bad. Really bad.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not good. I don't understand these organizations. I guess it's just a money thing. I don't know. But whatever you're saving in money, you're losing in reputation. I can almost assure you of that.
You liked the shawarma at Ford Field last year. We had a good time.
I did like the shawarma. I didn't realize that that's Lebanese, right?
Yes, the Middle Eastern food, Lebanese food is fantastic.
I didn't know that was such a big deal in Detroit.
So good. So good. All right, Lions at the Vikings Sunday. Minnesota at 5-0. Are you stunned? Are you doing somersault stunned, or are you not that surprised because what KOC and Flores bring to the table?
No, I'm surprised. I mean, I thought they'd be last in the NFC North. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I thought this would be the case or I thought this would happen, that they'd be able to perform like this. I certainly did not, for a couple of different reasons, right? I mean, they lost Daniel Hunter on defense. We know about losing Darnold. For them to be able to be 5-0 at this point, undefeated, it's such a testament to coaching and the front office. By the way, I don't know if you know, but the GM for the Vikings, he's a former Princeton guy. Actually did not play football.
Wow.
I didn't realize this. I played against him in intramural basketball. Evidently, I elbowed him really hard in intramural basketball.
He's not that
sound
big
like
of a
I'll be
guy.
getting a job with the Vikings anytime soon. But they've done a terrific job. The question, I think, always when there's success with a guy like Sam Darnold like this is whether or not it is sustainable, right? Whether or not what they're doing is sustainable. So we'll have to find out whether or not they can keep this going. Because I think anytime it's a guy like Darnold, you're kind of waiting for, what's the expression? You know, like the clock to strike midnight.
The shoe to drop. Yeah.
Yeah, the shoe to drop, clock to strike midnight, all those things. We'll see if it ends up happening.
What do you think about the Lions going in there? They're 2.5-point underdogs, but Lions love to run the ball, and the Vikings have stopped the run well. Really, their secondary has been shaky. How do you like this matchup?
Well, I do think it's interesting that the Lions are the underdogs with the way they've been playing. I know that the Vikings are coming off a bye, and the Lions are coming off a big win, and there's a track record in the NFL of teams coming off big wins where they blow a team out with, you know, everybody giving them applause and patting them on the back, and maybe they don't play quite as well the next week. But I I tend to think that the Lions are going to come to play. The question will be, and we'll find out right away, about Aaron Glenn and how he's able to adjust for no longer having Aidan Hutchinson. I think everyone's really curious to see what he does, how he's able to do it, because all eyes are now on Aaron Glenn and him finding a way to get pressure with the rest of these guys.
Should we be worried about Terrion Arnold, the rookie, who's played well outside of the pass interference and just the handsy stuff? But Arnold and Carlton Davis against Justin Jefferson this week. Will Jefferson draw flags and flail his arms? Will that be one of those games where we look up and go, man, they keep throwing the flags on Jefferson against the Lions?
Probably, yeah. He's pretty good at it. You know, he's got a reputation for it, and he's pretty good at making it clear when he's being held or that there's been contact. So that's something, you know, there's always a balance there, right? You want to be physical with him. You don't want to give him free access because he'll just tear you up. I mean, he is that good. But the flip side is you don't want to give him free yards either. You know, like make him make the plays. Don't be handing out, you know, pass interference penalties like they're candy.
Final thing, we're getting toward the holidays, my friend. I know about your friends at myfrontpagestory.com. Tell us how people get involved. Lion fans and fans in Detroit that have seen you on this pod have signed up, which we appreciate.
Well, I've told you this before, you know, and I'm showing the people that are watching us an example of it. Your listeners or viewers, I don't know, the people that consume this show, they're about as good as any in the country.
Yes.
At recognizing the value of the best anniversary gift, the best birthday gift, certainly the best holiday gift for any loved one. Myfrontpagestory.com. They write this incredible story about someone special in your life. Looks like it's on the cover of the Detroit Free Press. Framed, beautiful pictures of them, you, the kids, whoever you want to be in it, they'll have in it. At a minimum, you should go to myfrontpagestory.com so you can at least see what it looks like. And I would tell you, throw your email address in there because about a month before Christmas or Valentine's or Mother's Day or whatever, they'll send you an email with a code. That way you won't forget to get an awesome gift for your significant other or someone in your life at that point. Myfrontpagestory.com. It's called myfrontpagestory.com.
Ross, love you, brother. Where are you this week, by the way?
Saturday, second cable game of the year. Wake Forest at UConn for CBS Sports Network. Drive back to Pennsylvania, stay over the night with my family. Sunday afternoon, drive to the Steel City. Jets, Steelers, Sunday Night Football, Westwood One on the radio. Another doubleheader weekend for your boy.
Nice. Love it, man. Well, be safe, please. Love having you on. Thanks so much as always, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds great. Thank you, Matt.
There he is, Ross Tucker with us, Westwood One and CBS. Tomorrow, Luke Braun, the host of Locked On Vikings, will join me for the Crossover Thursday, brought to you by our friends at PrizePicks. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, everybody, and go Lions.